So it's 2023. You'd have to be under a pretty big rock to not know about AI, and maybe a slightly smaller rock to not know about the implications that AI has on us as humans who are unique and hardworking and creative. And you know what? The truth is that hardworking, creative, and ingenious human beings created AI, but that AI is now able to replicate that uniqueness. It can replicate the styles of artists, it can replicate the voice of famous musicians and not so famous musicians. It can also bite the hand that feeds it, which means it can code. So I want you to understand that when I'm talking about AI replacing or threatening creativity, I'm not simply talking about artists like me or musicians. I am also talking about the creators of AI are even, in my opinion, being threatened by their own creation, because if you've ever played around with something like ChatGPT and you want it to code something, it can. This is an important distinction to highlight, in my opinion, because many conversations that I have had about creative expression being threatened by AI, many people will argue that starving artists will always be starving artists, and that artists were starving before the creation of AI, which I have a whole qualm with the phrase starving artist. But my point being is that that is not true. AI threatens a lot more position than just outwardly creative things like art, like the art I make, or digital artists, or musical artists. I've taken a coding class too, and honestly, writing code is kind of an art form in itself. If you are a coder, or if you have experience with coding, I would love to hear your thoughts about the implications of AI on your position and your little expression of creativity. Please comment down below. I would love to read it. Anyway, that all sounds quite daunting and quite threatening. I have a lot of mixed feelings about AI. There is just what I've just said, where AI does have threats to creative expression. It does have threats to ownership, which I will get on later. Before I talk about that, AI definitely can be a tool. If you're familiar at all with my channel, you've probably seen some of my shorts where I will take one of my original works and I will put it through a little AI filter in which AI is programmed to look at a picture and source from its algorithm of learned art and then create a new picture. I think it's very fun to put my art that I made by hand, like the stuff in this video, through AI to see what AI does with it, to see if it can recognize the faces that I make as faces or what it turns it into. Sometimes it's amusing, I think it's cool, but to me, that use of AI is as a tool. Aside from the moral and ownership implications that AI has on artists, if AI were perfect, let's say, if AI were perfect and learned all of its information ethically, I think it would be a wonderful tool to use. Not to say it isn't a wonderful tool, I will say it is simply a tool. I think it could easily be a wonderful tool because I have put my own art and my own images through AI, and I've learned a lot about how I draw, and I've learned a lot about how I can see color and how I can see things in a different way. AI is very fun for me for art because it allows me to view what I've made, what I've spent hours looking at. It allows me to look at it through a new lens, and that is really rewarding, and honestly, it helps me. So in that way, I view AI as a tool, but it's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows. So I have used AI, as I just said, to replicate some of my pictures. I stopped doing that for a little bit because I don't know where the specific AI that I had been using, I don't know where that was sourced from. I don't know what artists consented or maybe didn't consent to have their art read by this AI and learned to create what I would put into it. I've hinted at it a bunch lately, but if you don't know, the way AI learns is it will take material that is given to it most of the time, and it will learn patterns and sequences. And so, for example, the way that AI is able to create a story in the same style as Dr. Seuss is because it has read Dr. Seuss content and has been able to associate the patterns and the styles of how Dr. Seuss wrote, and then it is able to apply that to the content that you are asking from it. So the way that visual art is made with AI is a very similar process, except instead of analyzing and finding the patterns and sequences of written media, it does that with visual media. So it is fed art that was made by most likely unconsenting artists, and it has analyzed their style, and it has associated that style with the names of the artist. And when I say unconsenting, I do mean unconsenting because think of asking AI to draw a picture of a bird in the style of Van Gogh. Okay, Van Gogh is a very, 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 very famous artist, but consider, he is dead, so how was he able to consent for his style, mind you, the same style that he was made fun of for his entire life and only became famous and respected after he was dead? How is he able to consent to have that style, that work, that passion? He is unable to consent to have his art analyzed and copied. And yes, it's not his art. Is it the AI's? I don't know, that's a difficult question. But the way that I like to look at it is, if I was made fun of for my style or never made money for my art, I passed away and then I was looking down on from heaven and then saw that suddenly a machine was learning how to recreate my art and was then selling their recreations of my art. I would be a little mad. I would be a little upset to find out that I had no possible chance of consenting if something that I had so deeply associated with me, it was my passion, it was something very close to me, something that only I could recreate, and to add on top of that I never made any money from it, or made very little, or was not respected. If that was then replicated and then sold without credit to me because I'm dead or I've never been given the chance to consent, I would be pretty upset. I mean, that's the same thing as content thievery. And content thievery is very relevant. Thank you, sssniperwolf. And I give this example of Van Gogh having his style stolen. The truth is that it's not only famous artists like Van Gogh or Picasso or Leonardo da Vinci that are having their very recognizable styles stolen. It is also artists who are alive and well and who are struggling and who have no idea that their art is being used to program AI. And so imagine with me again that you are maybe an alive artist, and I will use the phrase that I don't like, but you're an alive, starving artist. Your only source of income is your art. You make very little, you struggle, but your art has been seen by someone who wants to program their art AI, and so they feed your style without your consent, no email, no reaching out whatsoever. They feed it to an AI program that they're making, and then the public is able to use that AI and also able to save and or download for a fee the art that that AI has made, which was learned from you, and then you go on unknowingly, or maybe knowingly, but never making a cent from it. Or consider this: you are not a starving artist, and you're actually very successful, and many people flock to your DMs to ask you for commissions. They want to buy your art, but consider that an AI has been programmed to replicate your art, and suddenly people know about this. Then they stop coming to your DMs, they stop asking you for commissions, and they start asking the AI for a picture of them with their dog in your style. So then you, a wonderful, successful artist who used to have many people asking for commissions, will now no longer have people asking for commissions because some AI has been programmed to replicate what you do for free or for a fraction of the price. So now that every artist watching this is thoroughly depressed, how do we solve this issue? I don't really know because so much damage has already been done, but I can say moving forward, if you are someone who is programming an AI or in charge of feeding AI, please consider to find a way to ask artists for their consent or use a different method. Every day when I hand make my art to post on this channel, for which I currently make no money for, I risk it being stolen or being used for AI, and that does not make me feel good because I work really hard to create everything by hand and to specifically design it for my audience and to build myself as a creator. Potentially having my hard work stolen and put under someone else's name or being given away for free is not a warm, fuzzy feeling. You know what is a warm, fuzzy feeling, though, is when you all, my lovely, wonderful subscribers, who, if you're not subscribed, you're doing it right now, when you leave a like and a comment. Anyway, see you later.